हेलो। हेलो।
सर।
सर आवाज आ रहा है मेरा क्लियर?
बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल।
ओके।
हेलो धनंजय सर, अंदर आ गए।
यस सर, यस सर। सर को पोज बना दिया सर।
हाँ, ठीक है ना सर। वेलकम सर, वेलकम सर। आशय को भी को होस्ट बना दे।
बना दिया हूँ सर।
हाँ हाँ, चल ठीक। वालसन सर ज्वाइन हुए क्या? हाँ।
यस सर, वॉल्सन सर ज्वाइंड है।
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक। आशय,
हाँ सर।
तुम रेडी है ना?
हाँ 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 सर।
ठीक है।
हाँ हाँ।
हेलो। हेलो विमल सर।
सर नमस्कार।
हाँ, नमस्कार। हेलो।
वालसन सर भी है सर
ओके,
मीटिंग
ओके,
में।
फाइन।
बहुत अच्छा लगा सर आपसे बात करके इतने सालों के बाद। यानी
बराबर, बराबर।
लिटरली 99 के बाद।
या।
99
नमस्कार।
के बाद बात हो रही है।
क्वार्टर, क्वार्टर।
हाँ
नमस्कार
सर।
बेलकर सर।
हाँ, नमस्कार, नमस्कार। हेलो। हाउ आर यू?
ओ, वेरी फाइन वेरी फाइन।
या।
तो
व्हेन
भी
आई हैव
ये,
टू शेयर द स्क्रीन, यू टेल मी।
हाँ सर, थोड़ा सा शुरू करते हैं, थोड़ा पार्टिसिपेंट्स आ जाने के
यू
बाद।
कम्युनिकेट, यू टेक योर ओन स्पॅन.
ओके 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 सर, ओके सर।
ओके.
आज आपला व्हॅलिडिटी फंक्शन सुद्धा ठेवलेलं आहे सर.
हो हो हो, मला सांगितलं त्यांनी. I wind up within 55, 60 minutes, then 5 to 10
हो.
minutes interaction, if any, then
हा, राईट.
closing part.
सर लाईट गेली आहे का तिकडे?
यस सर, लाइन गेली आहे सर.
अभी फिर से आ गई है सर लाइट।
नहीं आई नहीं इधर.
इधर आ गई है।
अच्छा
लेकिन नेट कनेक्टिविटी नहीं दिखा रहा है।
आ जाएगा फिर।
व्हीकल सर,
हो.
सध्या मग अकॅडमिक इन्व्हॉल्वमेंट आहे का सर कुठे?
नाही नाही, अकॅडमिक नाही. आय रीड अँड राईट अँड माय सम बॅलन्स
अच्छा
प्रोजेक्ट.
अच्छा अच्छा, फ्रीलान्सर टिपचं.
I work for nearly 37 years.
Oh my God.
I was 1 year in WCL, no?
Where, sir?
Western Coalfield.
अच्छा, WCL.
No. At initial level, I was in WCL. Then
Oh,
I quit the job, then enter in, start the education and enter in the academics.
okay. Later on, you entered into academics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And then thereafter remain in the academics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Passion is more important.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Delete is a testament of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is more important.
Yes, yes.
What about you?
Uh, I'm currently, I had shifted this job in
Ah,
2007. I was selected to MPSC in Water Resource Department,
okay, okay, okay. Irrigation.
इरिगेशन. मग ते वहां पर 2 साल काम किया, मग ते काही जमलं नाही सर, मग ते सोडून परत अकॅडमिक्स मध्ये चालू मग.
नाही ते आपला इंटरेस्ट काउंट्स.
मग ते
Last time I was talking about that person, no? He was George.
हा, जॉर्ज वर्गीस सर. नाव
हाँ
इज इन अमेरिका.
हाँ हाँ, जॉर्ज जॉर्ज.
जॉर्ज वर्गीस, हा.
या.
तर आता या अमेरिकेत आहेत ते.
हाँ, जॉर्ज आहे. आपले हे रिटायर झाले ना आता, काय नाव त्यांचं, चौधरी सर, मेकॅनिकलचे.
एस के चौधरी ना.
हा
हो, एस के चौधरी रिटायर्ड झाले, हांडा सर रिटायर्ड झाले,
हा, हांडा सर, बरोबर.
वाघमारे झाला.
हा हा, वाघमारे झाले, बरोबर आहे.
हम्म. पारिक सर झालेत.
पारिक तर ते उमरेडला होते ना, मग ते इथे आले होते नागपूरला.
हा, मग इकडे आले होते ना. मग ते
हम्म.
त्यांचा मल्टिपल टाइम्स होते, इकडे तिकडे होते, बुटीबोरीलाही होते ते.
हो, मी 2 वर्ष उमरेडला गेलो होतो ना.
अच्छा. हा, हा, हा.
2 वर्ष, 2 दिवस जायचं.
हो, ते त्यांच्यासोबत म्हणजे सुरुवातीला.
हा, सुरुवातीला इनिशियल फेजला
उमरेड
मला असं वाटतं.
99च आहे ना. उमरेड
हा?
99च आहे ना. उमरेड
90
99च आहे ना.
99
99
99.
99 उमरेड, अंजुमन हे सगळे 99चे.
Yes, yes, yes. I used to go sometime that person from mathematics was there, no? He was principal there at Umred,
हम्म,
no?
हा सर, हा सर.
Ah, yes. I recall.
So shall we start, sir? Now consider 27 participants are there.
Okay, okay. You?
अजय
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
शुरू करते हैं, ठीक है?
So, okay.
You?
वसंत सर क्या शुरू करें ना? वसंत सर
Screen share करायचं ना?
हाँ हो थोड़ा सा
Yeah.
1-2 मिनट
Okay.
एक
चालू कर दो ना.
हाँ
Yes,
ठीक है
sir.
ना ठीक है शुरू करते
So,
आजय शुरू
good,
कर
good afternoon to all. I welcome you to fifth day of 1 week orientation program on research aptitude. Today we have with us Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar sir as an expert, a renowned personality in English literature fraternity. I welcome Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar sir by presenting a virtual floral book.
Okay.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar sir to the distinguished participants. Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar is a bilingual creative writer, scholar and participant of Nagpur University Best Teacher Award with a passion for literature and a deep interest in exploring the intersection of science and humanities. He began his career as an English teacher in 1985. He earned his PhD with a specialization in British science fiction focusing on the themes of fantasy and reality. A prolific researcher, Dr. Bhelkar was awarded a DLIT for his extensive two-volume work titled Translation of Tukdoji's Gram Gita, Traditional and Reality. This research spans translation studies, comparative literature, cultural studies, and subaltern studies, offering a profound analysis of the Gram Gita by Rashtrasanta Tukdoji Maharaj. As a bilingual author, he has published numerous work in Marathi and English, contributing richly to both literary and academic field. His work reflects a lifelong dedication to bridging science and literature, as well as preserving and interpreting the cultural heritage through scholarly inquiry. Now I request Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar sir to deliver his expert talk. Please, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, video. Yeah, you please share my screen.
Yes, sir, it is visible. Sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all, and thanks. I will I will present on trajectories of communication, research exploration, and contextualizing science fiction. Visual होतो का ते? जाऊ दे. Okay. Yeah, we will begin. Man has become biped from quadruped from 20 lakh years. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Man has become biped in the evolutionary process and experienced the dire need of communication. Human civilization and culture are interlinked and they are evolved through communication. So communication is the important mode for human evolution. Communication, verbal, concerns with sounds, audio, non-verbal, signs. There are also sign languages, visual images, written and scripted languages with alphabets, words, communication is done. Origin and hybridity of language, originated in the interactive communication language mode of communication. Originated in diverse tribes. Languages originated in the diverse tribe on the crust of the earth, and so different dialects. Communication in inter-communities, inter-regions, and beyond national boundaries has culminated into hybridity in native language. There are variations in language. For example, in Britain, there are different dialects: Welsh, Scottish, Irish dialects. In Italy, in North Italy and South Italy, there are different dialects, and variation also exists in India. For example, in Hindi and Marathi, or in different languages, Bhojpuri Hindi or this in Marathi also, variations are there. And in India, states are linguistic states. When we talk about the literature in languages, though literature is written in and created in different languages in India, it is Indian literature. It has cultural identity and Indian identity. So in any language is a system. It has own innate mechanism. Language is communication. Language is dynamic. It changes. Language is related to culture, and language is composed of arbitrary symbols. Some languages are pictorial language, for example, Egyptian language, Chinese language. Some languages are scripted language based on the alphabets. Language is learned. Any language can be learned. It is not that it is not actually impossible to learn any language. And there are misconceptions about language. Some languages are better than other. The case is that some languages are widely spoken. Some languages are inadequate in the means of communication, and some languages are not learnable. Every language is learnable. In language communication skills, for example, 4 facets are there: language listening skill, means the auditory skill, speaking skill, written skill, and reading skill. These all 4 skills are also the important components of communication. And in communication, beside all these skills, the tonal quality, confidence, the body language, and the clarity and precision are important. In language, syntax and diction are the structural component of language communication. Syntax, sentence structure in language, which is important in communication. In English, structural composition is subject, verb, object. And in Hindi, verb is that terminal position. In Sanskrit, subject, verb, and object, they are migratable. They change their positions. In spite of that, the meaning is feasible. Diction is selection of word from corpus of words. And these phrase has single layer of meaning. This is a word formation. For example, to look for idiom. Idiom has connotative level or suggestive level of meaning. It contributes to richness and the connotative level of words or language. And these components, syntax, dictions, are important for communication. For example, cry for the moon. It has suggestive layer of meaning. It means it has not linear layer of meaning, but it has suggestive level of meaning, connotative level of meaning. It means the craving for impossible. Sentences. In language communication, simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence contribute to structural composition. I am talking about the proficiency and efficiency in language. Precise control over structural composition of sentences results into proficiency and efficiency in language communication. Verb is the nerve center of sentence and concerns with time variation. Time variations, tenses are of vital importance in language communication. In the operation of active voices and passive voices, tenses play very stellar role or pivotal role. Language softwares, we live in the cyber spaces. Language softwares, translation softwares, language laboratory are functional practices in nourishing proficiency and efficiency in language communication. language communications, and when we relate language communications and science communication, then we find that language communication is bipolar process. It is not one-way process in which feeder and recipients are involved. Same is the context of, in the parlance of science communication, in which communication transmission is science specific. Science communication imbibes public awareness of science, public understanding of science, scientific culture, or scientific literacy, and myriad forms of science communications are verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written. Science communication is important to nourish scientific culture or scientific literacy. Objectives of science communication, we find sharing recent finding and new avenues, in increasing public awareness, increasing knowledge and understanding. Only knowledge is not important, but understanding, comprehension is also important. And a requisite of science communication, the clarity, preciseness, coherent component, impact means what you can say, the organicness, completeness, logical defense. In communication, there is to be logical defense to plead the point. For effective science communication, control overwriting, speaking, audience engagement are necessary. Science communication outreach drives encompass print media as science journalism, digital media as satellite communication, social media, exposure to museums of science and technology, science fest, science fair, science-oriented community event as public lecture and exhibitions. In India, there are different, what you can say, the modes for science communication. I will cite National Institute of Science Communication and Information Services Resources, NISCA, Central Institute of Science and Industrial Research, Vijnan Prasad, under Department of Science and Technology, GST, Indian Science Communication Society, ISER, provide outreach programs and technology. Indian Association of Science Fiction Studies, which is located at Vellore and Bangalore, AICT, UGC are instrumental in boosting up the very scientific spirit and scientific temper. Science communication and research exploration. In the present orientation program, focus is on research aptitude. So it is pertinent to relate science communication and the research exploration. Research exploration is scientific endeavor which encompasses investigative spirit, and its logical interpretation culminates into resolution, we can say solution, finding, or output. Science and technology delineates with reason, logic, analytical approach, experimental verification, exploration of truth, and practical application. Research is indispensable to explore unknown from known with rational justification and validity. Research is an endeavor to explore. In the Tyrus Hillway context, three questions are pertinent to research. What are fundamentals of research? What is the relevance of concept or theory in research? And what are the different methods of research? Fundamental aspects of research are, there is to be some problem which needs solution. This is in any discipline of knowledge. Method applied in investigation is to be verifiable and precise and logical. There is to be logical defense. And universe is knowable. It is not the thing that it is not the actually reality that universe is absurd or what you can say, not approachable. Research concerns with reliance on empirical evidence, relevance of concept or theory, ethical neutrality or objectivity or clinical detachment. Ethical neutrality it is to be observed in processing scientific exploration. Is ethical neutrality is difficult to maintain, means to in humanities or other disciplines. So we till to objectivity. Any research concerns with exploration of truth or reality. You might have heard the name of Agne Satyananda Vasa, and he said, Satya, Tatya, Sachaiya, kitne naam mein kitne baar. Means truth varies, reality varies. Modes are varies. Truth or reality changes, and it depends on perception. Function. See, science and technology, how does it operates? First, scientist imagines, then that imagination is verified, then it results into truth or reality. For example, C6H6, discovery of benzene. You know the calculus formula of benzene. He dreamt of hexagonal chain of snakes, and then it is verified. G is equal to 9.8 Newton. Newton has also imagined about the falling of apples on the ground, and then his assumption, hypothetical assertion later on verified. In commerce management and social sciences, first there is a fact or actual, then it is verified, then it leads to truth and reality. For example, the market survey, political survey, statistical survey. In art and literature, artist also concerns with fact and actual, then imagination is built, and then results into truth and reality. I will talk about later on in the closing part. For example, the painting by Leonardo da Vinci, it is based on the actual model. Paintings by Ravi Verma, based on the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Poetry, fictions, science fiction films, they all concerns with first fact, then imagination, then exploration of reality. There is a difference between research methodology, or we can say the research design and research methods. Different components of research methodology are review of literature, any discipline, review of literature, pilot study, then stating of research problem, and the important issues are: is the problem interesting? Is the problem new? Will it add to knowledge? Is it feasible? Have anyone have prior claim? Is it a work of duplication or what? Is the scope defined? Scope is to be defined because any area may be vast and the cantors are to be well defined. And coining of hypothesis, some hypotheses are to be rejected, some are to be accepted, some alternative hypotheses are to be cited. Options are to be open, possibilities are to be open, and then with the help of analysis and interpretation, experimentation, it is to be resulted in inference. Data collection, different modes of data collection, analytical tools, then interpretation and verification, and in the end, finding of reliable and verifiable solution. Solution is to be searched out, find out, but it should be reliable and verifiable, which leads to research problem. I told you earlier, there is a difference between the research problems, research methodology, and research method. Research method is the component of research methodology. Method is system, and there are different techniques, skills in the application of method. There are different methods. You are aware of survey method. It is applicable in management economics. Experimental method. It is applicable in technological studies, scientific studies. Experimentation, instrument, devices, measurements are cardinal components. Historical methods. When there is a historical survey, manuscript study, archaeological excavation, C4 technique, measuring of the years, and new historicism. New historicism concerns with finding of gaps in the historical findings, and these gaps open the avenues for further research. Critical interpretative method. This is applicable in humanities, analytical and interpretive studies, comparative studies, and textual studies. And science fiction studies is also the part of in science fiction studies also comparative interpretive studies is applied. Here, means and modes are varied. Means in research endures in any discipline, means and modes are varied, but the end, the motto, the aim is to explore the nature of truth, reality in the specific terrain with scientific and logical approach. Though reality or truth seems to be precise and concise in science and technology or in any discipline, its nature is dynamic, it changes. For example, the Dalton model, then Bohr model, then the wave nature of particle, then the recent development in quantum mechanics and photonics. So research finding advances, and it changes relies on angle or perception or the frame of reference, and so the finding changes and it depends on the frame of reference which is applied. Citation pattern. For example, in the last lecture, ma'am has highlighted the different citation patterns, primary sources, secondary sources, textbooks, edited books, chapter from edited book, research paper from edited book, translated books, reference from digital sources, and in this case, the reference from digital sources, date, and date is to be mentioned. Years is to be mentioned because there is also advancement in scientific digital sources, journals and periodicals, bibliography, and which is in alphabetical order. In this context, paper in scopus, as per the AICTE and UGC direction, paper in scopus, citation index, enrich, research endure, and impact factor of journal also importance. So it visualizes to which extent actually the knowledge is transmitted. We live in the era of postmodernism and globalization. Postmodernism, this term is coined by Lord and Frederick Jameson. Fluidity, crossing of barriers, and merging of discipline, mix of identities concerns with postmodernism. Means crossing of barriers, crossing of cantors, crossing of boundaries, and merging of disciplines. And that's why we turn to interdisciplinary studies and multidisciplinary studies. This is the advancement in science. And the last decade means that 1990s. We talk about globalization. Though this term was conceptualized in the context of crossing boundaries, economical enterprises, world trade, it is applicable to academics. So we see launching of campuses of foreign universities in India. So Southampton campus and Liverpool campus. It also related to objectivity in science. Postmodernism, this concerns with the Gates agreement. Postmodernism and globalization stress on interdisciplinary approach and the multidisciplinary approach, and globalization relies on wider global perception, moving beyond boundaries and multi-traits. Crossing, now we talk about the interdisciplinary studies and multidisciplinary studies in different disciplines. Interdisciplinary approach, it concerns, for example, when we take the specific discipline, structural engineering, environmental engineering, urban planning, rural planning, the interdisciplinary studies. Interdisciplinary studies. When we move to interdisciplinary studies, then your mechanometrics, bioinformatics, digital forensics, digital humanities are the citations. Multidisciplinary approaches, different disciplines merge together, boundaries merge together, which postmodernism and globalization points at. Biomedical engineering, different disciplines merge together. Fire engineering, inclusive of civil engineering also. Communication engineering, electronics engineering, then mechanical engineering in building instruments and all that. Agro engineering, genetics, mechanical engineering, electronics, like this. Now we talks about multidisciplinary studies. Only single discipline is not important, but frame of references, comparative studies, comparative perceptions are important. Science communication, now we turn to science communication and contextualizing science fiction. How does science fiction play a role in interdisciplinary studies, multidisciplinary studies, and science communication? Science fiction imbibes science communication. It's a powerful mode for science communication and imbibes multidisciplines. In the initial phase, science was criticized as bars, emotionally dry, without emotions and sentiments. Commercial form appear in pulp magazine, but today is established genre in fiction. It is a forerunning actually genre in literature. Readers from myriad walks of life, myriad disciplines, not from literature or art and humanities, but other disciplines also, turning to it as an important sign of time. As illustrated earlier, art and literature operates first artist concerns with fact and actual, then he turns to imagination, and On the basis of imagination, the world of imagination is built, which stresses truth and reality, which concerns with truth and reality. For example, this is the Pablo Picasso's painting, Guernica. This was actually a town in Spain, and it was bombed in 1937. Pablo Picasso concerns with facts, actuals, bombing in the First World War, in the Middle War period, in the 1937, and then Pablo Picasso imagines, and from the world of imagination, from the perspective of the world of imagination, he stresses very dark truth and reality in human life. So this is how does actually the process operates. An operational mechanism of science fiction. It is very specific mechanism. For example, fact, actual, and accepted science. Writer concerns with fact, actual, accepted science and technology. And on the basis of that, there is a hypothetical assertion. Hypothesis is built. And how does hypothesis is built? How hypothesis is built on the basis of accepted science and technology, accepted theory, accepted findings, and the fact and actual are projected or extrapolated in the world of fantasy. And this world of fantasy is built on hypothesis, and which is hypothesis which is built on accepted science and technology. And with the help of world of fantasy, science fiction writer interprets reality or truth. He search for reality, and artist explores reality from scientific perspective. In science fiction writer creates the world of fantasy, which is built on hypothesis, and hypothesis is built on accepted science and technology. It is not fancy. It is not Alice in Wonderland. It is not magic story. It is not Aladdin's magic lamp. On the basis of the accepted science and technology, science fiction writer stresses seriously his approach to reality from scientific perspective. To Thomas Clarison, fantasy is other side of realism. In science fiction, there is a fantasy. It is a serious fantasy. It is a responsible fantasy. To Thomas Clarison, fantasy is other side of realism in which science fiction is the latest expression. Fantasy is not escape from reality. It is not running away from reality, but stresses. Though there is imagination, but it is science fiction is not running away from reality. Fact, fantasy is not escape from reality, but stresses reality in more meaningful and serious context to interpret reality in very meaningful and contextual, parlance. For example, you are aware of the film Jurassic Park, but film is based on the science fiction by Michael Crichton and David Koch. So, on the basis of genetics, the eggs is developed in laboratory, and the dinosaur is created in the laboratory conditions. And the Jurassic Park, in the film, Michael Crichton and David Koch and the director Steven Spielberg has to assert that science and technology has not to create to formidable extent which will devastate human society, which will pose threats to human society. Means science fiction finds something serious which is meaningful to society in the contemporary context and beyond that also. Exploration of terrains in science fiction. Science fiction can be read, interpreted from interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary standpoints. Science fiction associates with diverse disciplines as literature, humanities, basic sciences, medical science, engineering. As such, medical science fiction is multidisciplinary and polyphonic. It has multiple layers of meaning. It has multi-sounds. Jules Verne, his science fiction Journey to the Center of Earth, it concerns with the geological exploration. Then Isaac Asimov, who was professor of biochemistry, he has written Foundation series, which concerns with robotics, robotics laws and its operation. H.G. Wells' Time Machine, in which H.G. Wells considers time as the fourth dimension and travels in very distant future to view human society from the standpoint of future. The island of Dr. Muriu, this is concerns with the medical science conditioning, psychological experiments. It concerns with the experimentation on humanization of animals, but they revert to scientists. They attack on scientists, Dr. Moru. So science, this is also the message in the film, as in that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that science and technology should not create to such formidable extent to which will devastate human society. I will talk about the humanistic standpoint in the closing part. Olive Stapledon's Star Maker concerns with the space traveling galaxies. Aldous Huxley's fiction Brave New World concerns with the technology of manufacturing human beings in laboratory, which creates the very dystopian dark world. And this is Brave New World is dystopian fiction, science fiction. Epstein Essence, it concerns with the devastation after the nuclear war, the very dark impact on human society. And George Orwell, 1984, it concerns with the technology, amalgam of political power and technology, Big Brother. It concerns with the Nazi regime, fascism, fascist regime, and totalitarian power in the hands of Big Brother. And how does technological power devastate and control human society? To very specific, in India, we know the work of ISRO. Arthur Clarke's science fiction 2000 Space Odyssey, it is film, it is screened by Stanley Kubrick as 2000 Space Odyssey. You can visualize this film and see the marvel of very visual effects. It concerns with the space travels to Mars, Jupiter's, and through the vast galaxies. Hull. This fiction was published in 1953, in which there is a inclusion of Hull, the massive computer. Has disturbance, the computer has a disturbance, and it creates very hindrance in computer command, and it disorders and alerts of the existence of aliens in space travel. In the novel, in the fiction, new formation of life glancing at the Earth. And this fiction that 2001 Space Odyssey concerns with cyber SF. We talk about digital and cyberspaces now, but this fiction also concerns with cyberspaces and alerts that man is a tiny speck in the vast canvas of the universe, vast compass of the universe, and has to be conscious of alien intervention. When the science fiction warns, alerts humankind. Arthur Clarke also penned 2010 Space Odyssey, 2, 2061 Odyssey 3, 3001, the final Odyssey, which concerns with the scientific exploration and the impact of humankind. J.G. Ballard's, we talk about the environmental issues nowadays, which has very dire consequences on human society. And J.G. Ballard concerns with the environmental issue, which that is the apocalyptic issue. Drawn world. These science fiction concerns with the melting of snow caps and the rise of water level due to global warming, natural catastrophe, and dissociation, fragmentation in human relations. So this, how does environmental has very disastrous effect on human society? This fiction points at drought. This science fiction concerns with the industrial waste and nuclear waste, which block evaporation of water and causes drought, which results into water scarcity, struggle for human survival, and disintegration human relation. When human relation disintegrate, human society can't survive. Human society can't exist. So science fiction alerts, points at, and warns at. What actually J.G. Ballard's finding is the exploration of truth and reality is man has to be conscious of environmental balance so as to avert environmental catastrophe and the survival of living world. Environmental disaster poses a threat to human existence. Now we talk about the nuclear waste. dumping of industrial waste, and global warming. Cyber SF. Cyber science fiction, the concerns with or envisages artificial intelligence and cyberspaces. Philip K. Dick science fiction, Do Android Dream of Electric Ship, published in 1982, concerns with bioengineer humanoids robots and replicants and human genetics. The science fiction concerns with investigation of these replicants. The film is screened on this by Ridley Scott, Blade Runner. Most of you might have witnessed that scene, inspired by the Philip K. Dick. In that science fiction, Descartes investigate 4 replicants. William Gibson's Neuromancer. This is also the cyber science fiction. Computer hacking. It concerns with computer hacking by Case, the character, and the Neuromancer's creation of cyberspace of Case and consciousness by neural chips. So controlling of consciousness by neural chips. What is the vision of cyberspaces, cyber science fiction? These front pages are there. Man has to be conscious of environmental balance so as to avert catastrophe and survival of living. What actually this is mistakenly written. Actually, the cyber science fiction points at man has to be conscious of handling the instruments, the cyberspaces, so as to avert the calamities. Science fiction films, you are aware of Aliens, Extraterrestrial, Gravity, Terminal, Interstellar. In Hindi, Koi Mil Gaya, Krish, Robot, this Rajnikant's film. Tamil, Vikram, Naliya, Manitha, Adisaya, Manitham. In Kannada, Hollywood. Animation techniques, visual effects, technological advancement, software application entertain and instruct spectator to make conscious about contemporaneity and speculative reality. Many times we talk about the Western, Europeans, and safely or very consciously we forget the Indian panorama. Indian panorama of science fiction in English, Jay Narikar has written Return to Woman, Message from Aristarchus, Sumit Basu's Turbulence, Boman Desai, Amitav Ghosh, Rimi Chatterjee, Anil Menon, who is now located in USA, Vandana Singh, in Marathi, Jayan Narikar, Niranjan Ghate. Niranjan Ghate was geologist, Bob Hontke was a man of physics, Pandit Vidyasagar. All these persons have written science fiction in regional languages. In Kannada, Savita Srinivas, she is IPS officer. Shantala, she is gynecologist. In Tamil, Ilan Natarajan, Sujata Rangarajan. Telugu, Gopalan Dilip Kumar. Then K.R.K. Mohan. In Malayalam, Nalla Muthu, G.S. Unikrishnan, Murli Krishna K. In Hindi, Harish Goyal. There are different names: Arvind Mishra, Haider Jadi, Bengali Satyajit Ray, Sumit Bardhan, Gujarati Yashwant Mehta, Ravind Andariya, Punjabi Devinder Pal Singh, Amar Sindhu, Assamese this Goswami, Shakil Jamal, and Barua have contributed to Indian regional science fiction. And I made the point very clear in the beginning that literature written in regional Indian languages is Indian literature. Journals in Indian languages as science reporter, Sushtridnan, Vijnan Yug in Marathi, Kalpavishwa in Bengali, and Vijnan Katha in Hindi are contributing to nourish scientific culture and scientific literacy. We have we have highlighted the different components of science communication, science research orientation, and then science fiction film. But besides science and technology, besides assertion in science and technology, human value orientation is also indispensable. Besides science communication, new science and technological advancement, scientific culture is to be suffused with constructive human values. Means invention or discovery of science is important, no doubt, but its applications in the context of human society is also of paramount importance. Albert Einstein has written the important book Opinion and Ideas, and beside his non-science fiction book. And in that book, Albert Einstein cites, without ethical values, there is no salvation to mankind. Application of science and technology, advancement in science and technology, measures in science and technology are of stellar importance, but they are to be coupled with ethical values, humanistic values, constructive human values. Bertrand Russell, you might have heard the name of Bertrand Russell, who was professor of mathematics, and the Nobel Prize is awarded to him for his philosophical study, literature. He cited, unless increase of knowledge with wisdom, no doubt knowledge is important, but unless the increase of knowledge with wisdom, there will be increase of ignorance in human society. If knowledge increases in society without wisdom, there will be increase of ignorance in human society. Bertrand Russell has to stress that knowledge is to be suffused with wisdom. Knowledge is not to be dissociated from wisdom, and then there will be increase of balance in human society. Knowledge and wisdom, they are to be coupled together. I turn to inference. Science communication is of stellar importance to develop and nourish scientific culture, in which communication media plays crucial role. Research exploration in communication engineering, media communication, mass communication accentuate science communication. Means research exploration is must in different communication media, in communication engineering, and it benefits human society. From perspective of research dynamics, because research changes, research dynamics in the era of postmodernism, merging of boundaries and crossing boundaries, globalization, wider exposure, and cybernetics, cyberspaces, multidisciplinary approach is of contemporary significance and open further possibilities for explorations. Science fiction and science fiction films, being in multidisciplinary venture, they are to be transmitted to readers, viewers at various levels for proficiency and efficiency in science communication. Science communication is to be tuned with constructive human values for better mankind and human society. As Einstein and Bertrand Russell have cited, knowledge and wisdom, they are to be coupled together, and science and technology is to be coupled to ethical values. This is the closing part. We have to judge the day, not the harvest, not what harvest we reap, but what seeds we plant for tomorrow. Our present endeavors are important, but what type of seeds we plant for tomorrow, for further generation, for future generation, this is important. Means present and future speculation is to be coupled together. And in practicing so, whatever vast darkness outside, different type of darkness, political, social, administrative, different type of darkness, whatever darkness, we must give our own light. That is our responsibility as a responsible citizen, as a researcher. And with this, wishing the best, I curtail my presentation. Now the entire presentation, the entire outlook perception opens for interaction.
Thank you very much, sir, for that immensely insightful session. We will now move to the question and answer session. Participants are kindly requested to post their queries in the chat box or unmute and ask the questions.
You?
Hello.
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 Hello. Bhelkar sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, listening.
Your complete presentation was in line with the technical presentation. And we used to have the habit of listening to technical presentations in line with the specialization of their own branches. But today, English literature was exactly in consonance with the scientific and technical presentation type. I mean, I never expected this was the first time I heard English literature
Hello.
presentation
Ashay?
like this. Very
Yes,
wonderful presentation. Very wonderful.
Ashay?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is the context of science and technology.
Very wonderful presentation. I liked it. I mean, I wish that sometimes again I would like to listen this once again in elaborative mode.
Yeah. Right.
Fantastic.
So, any participant have any question? Please ask question, or you can write in chat box. Okay, sir. Now we will proceed. On behalf of the organizing committee and all the participants, I extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ratnakar Bhelkar, sir, for sparing his valuable time and enlightening us with his vast experience and wisdom. Sir, your session has certainly left a lasting impression and provided us with a much needed clarity on the various aspects of the research. So now we will proceed towards the valedictory function of 1 week orientation program on research aptitude. I request Dr. Walsen Varghese, sir, Principal KDK College of Engineering, Nagpur, to give the closing remarks. Sir, sir please, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, all present here for this wonderful 1 week orientation program on research aptitude, OPRA 2025. I'm filled with the deep sense of satisfaction and gratitude that the initiative jointly taken by the Department of Civil Engineering, IQAC, Institution of Innovation Council of KDK College of Engineering, which has successfully fulfilled the purpose of nurturing the spirit of research among the faculties and the budding scholars. Now, this 1 week program, we have been privileged to listen, understand from the distinguished resource persons, experts who shared their valuable knowledge on critical themes of such as research paper writing, reference management, literature reviews, publication metrics, and even the intersection of science fiction with the academics exploration by Dr. R.D. Velkar sir today. The session was really very much enlightening, and I'm confident that the knowledge gained here will be very much useful for the academic and research initiatives. My heartfelt thanks to all the speakers, Dr. Ratanlal, Dr. A.R. Temburkar, Dr. Mangala Hirwade, Dr. Rahul Ralegaonkar, and very specific today, Dr. R.D. Belkar for their time and wisdom. And our thanks to the organizing team from MN Mure coordinator, Dr. Satune, head of the department, and all the faculty members and the participants for the active involvement for during the whole 1 week of this program. As we close, let us remember that this is not the end, but the beginning of a deeper research journey. May the seeds sown here blossom into impactful publications, projects, and innovation that benefit both academia and society. Thank you and wishing all the best to all. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I request Professor M.N. Umre, sir, to give the formal oath of thanks. Umre, sir, please. Umre, sir.
Thank you, sir. I thank all the experts especially today's expert, Dr. Ratnakar Belkar, sir. And what I can say that as faculty alumnus of KIDKCE, thank you so much, sir. I thank the management and principal, vice principal, and head of departments for giving me opportunity to conduct this orientation program. I thank all my moderators and other faculty members of the department. And last but not the least, I thank all the delegates to for attending the entire 1 week orientation program. Thank you so much.
We can we can have a glimpse, please, on your videos, so that we can take a glimpse of today's presence. सब अपने वीडियो थोड़ा ऑन कर दो, बेलकर सर भी. यस.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you once
Yeah,
again
thank you
to
very much.
everyone. Have a wonderful day ahead. All the participants must fill the feedback link which is shared in the chat box.
Belkar sir, I invite you to come to college, sir. And now it is a vacation period for the college. Yeah, surely take your own time and do visit us. We will be elated with your presence.
Okay, thank you one and all.
Thank you.
Sure. You.
All the participants are requested to fill the feedback form which is shared in the chat box. After 30 minutes, link will be disabled. Link will be activated for 30 minutes.
Okay, thanks to all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sure. Thank you.